Kniraven.
We love you, Nye!
Hey, welcome back to the stream. We're about to watch the New World Forged in Aeternum community Q&A for September of 2023. I think they're going to be talking a lot about the expansion, about the new mounts feature, and about the flail, the new weapon. So let's dive in and see what they have to say. I am excited.
So everyone sounds good. We'll look at this camera today, or me. I'll be standing here asking the...
She always has like cute glasses, like little like different colored glasses. Nifty
questions.
I usually look at you.
I wonder if this is the same day. I know I've seen this shirt before on him.
It feels pretty low.
I like the upshot. Okay. Makes us look more powerful.
I don't like this angle because it undermines my authority.
We don't
Do not care at all. If it looks good, it's good.
It looks good. It looks good.
Leave it.
I'm good to go whenever you're ready to film
ready?
the video.
Let's do this.
Okay.
We don't get to talk. Hey everybody, welcome to Forged in Aeternum, where we talk about all things New World. Today is a special edition, the September Q&A video, and even more special, episode 50.
Woo!
You might also notice we're back here in our normal studio because we have a team up in Seattle and we have a team down here. So we go back and forth on occasion. We wanted to include a lot of our Seattle folks in the video to make it easier on them. So we're glad to be back. We're even more glad to answer your questions. So with that, I'm gonna hand it off to Michael to ask away.
All right, we got a lot of questions today. So first one, when can I buy the expansion?
That is a great question. I didn't even frickin' think of that. Yeah, this is a full-on expansion. It's going to cost, I think, $30 is what they said, which I think is very reasonably priced. It didn't even occur to me that there's a point in time when the purchase is going to be available.
You can buy the expansion October 3rd. You can get it on your wish list early, but there are no pre-orders.
Okay, makes sense.
Have you identified the main root causes for instability on PTR opening day, and are you confident they will not be repeated at launch?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yes, we have identified the root cause, and we are confident that that particular issue will not happen on day one of the expansion.
Famous last words, guys. Famous last words.
It's the beauty of a PTR. It allows us to catch some of these things before they go live.
Exactly, and if you had hopped into the PTR after we had put the fix through, you notice that the stability definitely got a lot better.
Okay, I will say, when I hopped into the PTR, it seemed to be running fine. So, I mean, that's fair.
Cool. And with all the upcoming changes to the gearing system, I would expect that the overall process of getting a very good gear set will be faster and easier than before, and that the need for multiple sets will be reduced. With that in mind, what are the long-term goals for gear progression? How do you plan to keep gear progression interesting in the long term? Can we expect faster gear score increases than before, like 2 years from now on?
Okay, that's a long question. Okay, let me break this down. With all the upcoming changes in the gearing system, so here we're referring to the removal of expertise, we're referring to the removal of Banes and Wards. You know, I would expect the overall process for getting a very good gear set will be faster and easier than before. Is that true? Yeah, I'd say that's true. Yeah, I'd say that's fair. And that the need for multiple sets will be reduced. That's definitely true. So with that in mind, what are the long-term goals for gear progression? Okay, I wonder what this person's thinking. And how do you plan to keep gear progression interesting in the long term? Can we expect faster gear score increases than before too? Oh, okay. So they're asking, you know, now that it's going to be much easier to get good gear for all the various dungeons at a much quicker rate, like, how are you going to keep things interesting? How are you going to keep people farming and, like, doing stuff?
Let me start. I think, first of all, you know, one of our goals here was to allow people to get really good gear quickly. Like, we wanted to make that faster. We wanted to make it less of a grind to get that. We wanted to make less requirements to get multiple sets. Again, the focus is on have fun. Like, that's one of the beauties of a classless game like ours is, like, you get to experiment with more builds, and we wanted players to have that opportunity. With that said, I do think like between artifacts, leveling them up, getting, an absolute best 3 perks and 700 gear, there's still going to be a nice runway here also. And we'll talk more about the future of progression in the future.
I mean, maybe other people merchant and then just buy the stuff with the best perks. So, and sometimes that's faster.
Maybe in a Balance of Power episode.
Oh, what a great place for that.
Oh, wow.
Are there any plans to change from corrupted portals and invasions into Angry Earth portals and invasions? This is Rise of Angry Earth after all. I'm dreading doing the same invasions I've done for 2 years already.
Interesting.
Well, I'm sorry that you're dreading that. We don't have plans for Angry Earth changes, but if we were to do another race in the future, I think that would be an interesting call out, and it's something that we are talking about, and I think would be a lot of fun.
Okay. If you look at how demanding the BIS crafting is going to be, along with getting all the new artifacts, then there is a very long grind ahead of you.
This is an interesting question.
That's not a question. What do you mean that's an interesting question? That isn't a question. If you look at how demanding the best in slot crafting is going to be, so is it going to be demanding? I don't know. Along with getting all the new artifacts, I also don't know how demanding that'll be. And there's a very long grind ahead. How is that even a question? Okay, let's just hear what he says.
This is an interesting question after the one 2 questions ago where it was too quick. So I think, hopefully we're somewhere in the middle. I do think like the sort of the prismatic scarab crafting is relatively expensive, and that is intentional, right? Because that is pure BIS, best in slot. Like it's 700 gear score, you get to choose all your perks. So that is a little bit expensive, but it's guaranteed to be the absolute best.
Okay. When buying the expansion, is there a chance we will get a discounted bundle that includes a premium season pass?
Okay, this person's just cheap. The expansion's $30, bro. The expansion's just $30. Come on.
We are not bundling the expansion with the season pass. The season pass is an in-game purchase, and then the expansion you can purchase through the Steam store.
Are the influence windows currently just for testing, or is the idea that this will also be the time for live?
The idea is that this will also be the time for live. So we'll take feedback from the PTR and we decide if, it makes sense. But yeah, what was on the PTR is what we are currently working with.
Those are based on like the prime times of server windows, and we want those tight gaps, right? Of time frame.
Yeah, we don't want it to be too spread out because the whole point is to get a lot of PvP players into one particular area, fighting it out and having a good time.
Yeah, it makes sense
It's also
to me.
super tunable,
I like that
right?
it's
We're going to
narrow.
see in the PTR, but the live audience always behaves a little differently, and we have.
So for anybody who doesn't know, they're talking about the new PvP event that'll come on, where basically there'll be a certain spot that's marked that you need to go to gain influence or whatever from your faction. It's going to be at a certain time of day in a certain location. And so that incentivizes all the PvP players to all go to one location at one time. And there's going to be boss open world PvP. It's going to be fucking awesome.
We've got cool tools and telemetry to be able to play with that and make sure that it always feels like optimal.
Okay. What happens to gypsum? Will it become useless?
Good question.
No, gypsum still has a use, mainly building gypsum orbs out of it. The gypsum caches, are a little bit less useful. They're a good way to sort of get up to that 620, let me try that again. Up to that 625 base level if you're sort of coming back to the game. But the orbs will still have good usage between the weapon matrices, which are used for rerolling perks and upgrading heart runes to 700.
We were told there was a PvP surprise we could guess in addition to the influence changes. Was this just Eden Grove? And if so, how are we supposed to guess? A lot of us were hoping for a PvP zone or similar, and it feels like PvPers got left behind again.
I totally disagree. There was a major PvP update where they have like a focused area like towers that we have to like all go to at a certain time in a certain location that's gonna make people come together in like PvP. What are you talking about? PvPers didn't get left behind. This had like a good PvP focused update.
All right, so there's a fair amount to unpack here. Now, I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure we didn't say a PvP special surprise. If we did, we were referring to Eden Grove replacing First Light, which, by the way, I think the Eden Grove settlement is pretty awesome. Also, PvPers, like the influence change, we think is going to have a major impact on the experience. So
I agree.
It saddens me to think that, while we took the time to add this PvP feature, you still feel left behind. That said, going forward, we have a lot more in mind for PvP. We're just not ready to talk about it. Today is about the expansion.
Will we be able to reset our territory standing?
No.
Good answer.
Neither of you can speak for the rest of this now.
All right, take it away, Scott.
You already broke that rule.
Weird rules.
Jinx, you don't know the rules of Jinx?
I thought it was you buy like a soda or something for the other person.
No, it's Scott. You can answer the rest of them if you'd like.
We'll see.
I know the rules of Jinx. Come on. Okay. Question about PvE. Is there any plan to add more endgame activities other than mutations? Dungeon scaling based upon how many players in the party? Show some love for the PvE arenas? Any plan to improve invasions? Adding or changing activities which are rewarding players with crafting materials, stat perk mods, high tier crafting materials, etc.? Any plans to build upon corrupted portals, roadside encounters?
There was a lot of questions in there.
A lot of suggestions.
What I'll say is we really want to keep this focused on the expansion. However, I'll give this tidbit. We have major plans to improve the PvE experience. We also have major plans to improve the PvP experience. But that's stuff we don't want to talk about until we start talking about next year.
What will happen in OPR war with the new level ranges? Will people who didn't buy the expansion be screwed?
Oh, that's a good question.
Screwed's a hard word. OPR, we are raising the minimum level up. We're going to raise everyone up to 675 so they can compete. I know that's not all the way to 700, but that's what we're doing. War is going to be tough. The answer is you're not going to. It's going to be hard to get picked in war if you don't buy the expansion.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, there's
that's totally fair too. I see no problem with that.
No scaling in open world PvP or war, but it will be scaling in Outpost Rush. So I know arenas. And I know it's a favorite mode for a lot of our players. So you can get in there and be, somewhat competitive. But like Scott said, this is something where if you really want to still be competitive and top of the leaderboards.
How will influence races work for companies that own multiple territories?
Well, influence races happen one territory at a time, so there's not a massive impact to companies that own multiple territories, but you will have to defend all of them. So that's something to consider. You'll have to defend them in war. You already have to defend them in invasions, and then you're going to have to fight off everybody in the influence race. So it's something to consider for those that do own multiple territories.
With the new BIS crafting recipes requiring so many resources, are there any plans to reduce the amount of materials needed or adding new nodes?
We are looking at this. I think we are considering a slight reduction in the prismatic scarab crafting. We're going to take a look at more data, make a final decision, but that's potentially likely. We're also taking a look at the influx of mithril and the new end resources, and we may increase the respawn time of those to help compensate for that also.
Yeah, we're going to keep looking and tuning as needed. So we'll be paying attention in data as well as to player reports.
Do we need to empty the First Light storage, or are the contents there moved to another storage with the update?
No,
you should already be aware of that.
The expansion, it's going to be the same experience that you have right now in game. So your storage from First Light, back when we introduced Season 2, is available through the storage system. It's not a physical location. That's still something you can pull from. You can't add to it. For those that purchased the expansion, you now have Elysian Wilds storage. So you can put things in, take things out. It acts just like the rest of the storage in the world.
But if you didn't buy the expansion, you can still get access to Eden Grove, which adds that storage back. So
yes.
You really didn't miss out on any storage.
Yeah, makes sense.
Exactly. But if you're wondering specifically about what happens to the First Light stuff, it's still there.
Okay.
We won't take your stuff.
All right.
Yet.
That was her.
Okay. Does anything happen to existing named items at gear score 590? I assume they can drop at a higher gear score after the update, but the ones in our inventory remain at 590 and can no longer be increased?
Yes, so this is one of those things that if you have named items at 590, you should upgrade them pre the expansion because they won't be upgradable post. The good news is that post, it'll drop at 625, so you will no longer need to upgrade them. So upgrade them now if you have them, otherwise you'll get new, shinier, better ones post expansion.
Makes sense.
Anything new about the First Light standing that you stole from us? The achievements are unreachable as well now.
What?
Well, we are replacing it with the Eden Grove standing that you can start to build up, and same with the achievements there. Sometimes you have to do what you think is in the best health of the game. And while First Light was a zone that people hadn't played, the truth is the heat map showed there wasn't a lot of activity there. And it made a lot more sense to, rather than add another zone to the side of the map to further spread players out, to try to give players like a closer place to go. Because one thing we have learned is
that makes sense.
Like
That's a good answer.
Proximity of each other, and the more we can support that, the better. So,
Yeah, and I mean, just to add on to that, the reason why we chose First Light is because there wasn't a ton of players, and the ones that were there were really at the fort capping it for the bonus. And we preserved that with Season 2. We moved that to Weaver's Fen, so that's something that you still get. We preserved the storage for you so that you could still take things out. And now we've added Eden Grove storage, so it's evened out, and you can start that grind for the territory standing again.
Okay. There's a very hot topic on the Discord forum about the fresh server. Question, will there be at least one fresh server where after a month transfers will be opened or the server merged? Because many of my friends want to play the expansion but completely from scratch without a damaged economy.
Okay, first off, the answer has to be no. If they say anything other than no, I would be flabbergasted. The population in the various servers is already low in some of them as is. If anything, like a couple servers need to be merged. They're certainly not going to be creating new servers right now. That would be silly.
So no, there will not be
you.
fresh start servers with the expansion. And as far as the damaged economy, that's been a long time since we've had dupes and those horrible beginning game experiences that we totally own, and we have righted. You can still play on fresh start worlds that are around since the post Brimstone Sands launch. So those are still around. As long as they have the no transfer in mark on them, then feel free to join those ones. Or join a legacy server, because it's a lot of fun too.
Heyo. I am worried about the state of the game after introducing pay to win to the game.
What are they referring to?
Can someone please clarify what happens to the players that do not buy the expansion?
Oh my god! You buying the expansion is pay to win? Really? You think will PvP be equally balanced for free and paid players, for people who didn't buy the expansion and people who did? Oh my god, you know what? Okay. I commend you, New World. I commend you for hearing this person out. I commend you for letting them feel heard. But oh my god, what a dumbass fucking question. Okay, the expansion is not pay to win. It's an Jesus Christ.
Will PvP be equally balanced for free and paid players? Are they able to use the same gear and weapon? Thank you.
Yeah, so I don't look at it as pay to win. I look at it more of a pay to continue the game, to play to keep progressing both your level, pay to have access to the new content, and continue growing your character, which I think is a pretty common theme in the genre.
Yeah, it's an
That
expansion.
said, we are still giving players that don't buy the expansion access to new content like the Eden Grove settlement, which is a pretty big deal, I think. Also, we're trying to do our best to keep them competitive in PvP while keeping it fair for everybody by, Outpost Russian arenas raising it to 675 so that they can at least compete and be a part of it. But overall, the expansion's where the new content and the new hot stuff is.
Yep.
So I've heard that people who put New World on a disk drive have a pretty bad experience. Could we speak to this?
Yeah, I think the minimum requirements for New World is a disk drive that goes at 2,000 megabytes per second.
Disk drive that goes at 2,000 megabytes per second. Let me check whether or not mine does. Let me write this in my Discord to check afterwards. Disk drive that goes at 2,000 megabytes per second. Hopefully that just means a SDD as opposed to an HDD. Sorry, SSD versus HDD. I'm assuming.
That is going to be really, really hard to achieve on any hard disk drive unless it's like RAID zeroed and like all this optimization. So most likely you're going to need an SSD to hit those speeds. So please,
I was right on the money. I was right on the money. Okay. Yeah, guys, get an SSD. I got rid of my HDD. I got rid of my HDD recently and replaced it with an SSD. Huge upgrade. Everything moves faster. So much better. Do it.
Plays a lot better. You'll remove a lot of the micro stuttering and enjoy it a lot more.
Okay. And finally, so what should players be doing between now and the expansion that would be valuable after the expansion?
First, it's always valuable to just play and enjoy the game and have fun.
Okay.
One thing that I would probably do is if you're one of those people that's into the MSQ and you're working through it and leveling again, especially if you came back and you'd stop, I would actually stop it before entering Great Cleave. And then we've redone that, and there's all this new exposition on Thorpe, and the fight's really cool, and it'll pick up and carry you through that. And so I would stop at the end of Weaver's Fen right before you go to Great Cleave.
Oh, interesting. You would stop doing the quest at Weaver's Fen before going to Great Cleave because the expansion is going to change the quest line. That's interesting.
And if you've already completed the up to, say, Tempest, right? So a lot of people I know got up to Tempest and maybe didn't go through Brimstone Sands. Make sure you go through Brimstone Sands because up to Tempest you're getting like 500 level gear. And then in Brimstone, the quest line drops like 615 gear score items, 620 gear score items. So you can start picking up at least like those items to get you ready for Elysian Wilds in the higher level zone. So definitely complete Brimstone Sands if you have not.
I think if you're a min-maxer, there's a lot you could potentially do depending on how deep you want to go. Like one thing, I would get all my crafting skills up to 200, all my refining skills up to 200. I would probably stockpile enough.
This is our guy, guys. This is our guy. This is the answer we were looking for.
Materials to ensure I could get to 250 very quickly. Like if you're going to do smelting, you know, you'd probably need around 1,300 ore ingots. So prepare all the materials for that. I'd get my weapon masteries all up to 20. There's lots of good strategies on that. What else might I do? I might start getting materials that you know will be useful. Gypsum orbs, like we talked about, have some use. So if you don't have those, I would gather some of those. And I'd get all my gear ready, you know, to fight in Elysian Wilds. You know, there's going to be a lot of Angry Earth. There's going to be a lot of beasts there. We did get rid of wards, but remember, there are now the new ward potions, which sort of are longer lasting. So have a couple of those ready and have gear ready to fight the wilds of Elysian.
Yeah, and I would, you know, once the expansion comes out, I wouldn't rush through the content. I would take your time.
Speaking of potions, does anybody else have this issue where like potions are way the hell down in your inventory and in different like sections, like foods are in one section, like attribute foods are in another section, like potions are in a third section, and anytime you gotta put on a potion, especially like the short lasting ones, the ones that only last for a few minutes, you gotta scroll all the way down because you only have 4 hotkeys for hotkey potions, and you might need to drink more. You know, you might need like a ward, a tincture, you might need to, you know, remove, you know, there's lots of different potion options. You might want to have quite a few available, and you can't. You have to like scroll way down in your inventory to like select these. I need more hotkeys, or I need to be able to rearrange and put my consumable, short-lasting buff items up at the top. I need one of those two things. Those would be an improvement.
Time and enjoy it. Go get that horse, cruise around. Go up and check out Eden Grove because the settlement is really cool, and that like there's a lot of neat stuff that you can just see by, you know, getting lost in the world a little bit.
Well, if you're Syndicate, you have to go up to Eden Grove anyways to start your Elysian Wilds questline.
Yeah.
So you're already in there. Marauders and Covenant will have to take a little detour from where their starter quests are.
Or rush to 700. And
Syndicate Master Race.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. That's what we're doing.
Anyway, I think that's it, right?
You know, actually, while we're here, what mount are you each gonna ride?
Direwolf.
Probably the wolf.
I like classic. I'm gonna stick with the horse.
Thank you.
No line.
This guy is my guy.
Cats. All right, well, that's it. And, you know, thanks to everybody for continuing to like support us and play. Like getting to episode 50 of this is kind of a pretty cool milestone for us. So we like just can't stress enough how much we appreciate the support and the constant feedback, and just love the dialogue back and forth with everybody. It's awesome. So if you like us, subscribe. We'll keep doing these. Otherwise, you know, we'll see you in Aeternum.
Okay.
What's wrong?
You're supposed to like and subscribe.
If you like us, subscribe.
I want to say like, if you like us, like it.
No, but it's really on theme for clapping the knees comments too. So
Clapping the knees.
We're not redoing
The
the
knees.
No,
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. What's this?
at least there, what's nice is it's
So-
not just for PvE or PvP. It'll be useful on both sets of gear, so it sort of brings the gear together. But short answer is, you know, we're going to continue to look at perks. Our goal is not to have one that clearly outshines others.
All right, that was our live response to the community Q&A for September 2023. All right, thanks, folks. Hey, Knights, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. For more awesome content, catch me live on Twitch or follow me on Twitter. Just search Kniraven or visit kniraven.com. Thanks for the support, and see you next time.